In today's video, we'll take a look at even more tips I wished I knew about earlier in Where Winds Meet. Even after 200 hours at this stage, I'm constantly finding cool new stuff that I never knew about. So in an attempt to help you all out, here are even more things for you to look out for. As always, if you end up finding this video useful, don't forget to subscribe and let's dive right in. Let's get started with some extra tips to save a lot of headaches when it comes to tips recycling and promoting your inner ways. First things first, you're going to want to lock on whatever inner ways you want to focus on for your current build. And there are a couple of ways to do this in, either straight from the back menu. If you press over the item, you're going to notice that the top right corner has a small icon that if you press will pretty much lock that item from getting deleted. Or you can also do it straight from the tips recycle menu. Similarly, you can press the button from over there. And what you will notice is that whenever you try to recycle these locked items, now you're going to get cannot recycle locked tip items any longer, meaning that you may avoid a ton of future accidents. Another even bigger one is that if you pay attention to any of these chests right here for the different types of paths and whatnot, you're going to notice you only have a limited total stock of 600 chests at any given time. And no, as far as I'm aware, none of these will reset, but there will be future updates that introduce other chests that can even reset on a weekly basis. But the 600 here, as far as I know, do not reset at all, meaning that eventually you will run out of them. Which brings us to tip number 3, and there's absolutely no reason to stockpile on nodes that don't currently fit your build or for inner ways that you don't currently plan on using. If you want to change your mind later down the line, you will have the conversion for that, which even has like free conversions every single season. But besides that, simply, like I said, lock the 4 or 5 inner ways most appropriate for your current build, and everything else can go straight to the recycling. From that point on, all of the vintage booklets you're going to funnel into the inner way chest over here, starting with the ones most appropriate to your build. Once all of that 600 supply has been extinguished, you will then move on to the next brand of chests, and this is still going to apply simply because at the very least the morale chant is the one that has the chance to drop from every single one of these. So at the very least, if you're still hunting for that and want to maximize it, you can focus on it and at the very least reliably get it. Meanwhile, everything else that's obviously going to be off path for you will end up getting recycled. But let's say eventually you change up your mind, or maybe want to swap out to a stronger build or one that has a different playstyle. Well, here is where your conversion screen comes into play. This is going to be your I change my mind button. Here what we can do is take our highest level currently upgraded inner ways, say for example my sword Horizon, and let's say I want to change to maybe, I don't know, Echoes of Oblivion. I'm planning to go with a Infernal Twin Blades build instead. Well, in this case, if I were to select these two in this screen, I would transfer my convertible inner ways, in this case 22, and swap them with the 0 that my Echoes of Oblivion currently has, meaning that my Echoes of Oblivion immediately gets 22 new inner way nodes. That means I can immediately promote that inner way to at least 1 breakthrough level, possibly even more depending how many convertibles I have. However, there are some limitations to this system. One is that you only have 4 free conversions every single season, meaning that you really want to plan out which of the 4 inner nodes you will want to swap with the ones you currently have. From that point on, you can still convert 4 more times for that season. However, the remaining 4 from that point on will be paid. They will cost vintage booklets, the ones that you get from tips recycling. So technically speaking, even if you mess up, you still have ways to recover for that season, but still keep in mind it's going to be limited. And finally, every time you do a conversion for those specific inner nodes, you will have a 7-day cooldown on both of the nodes that you just swapped or converted to one another. So keep that in mind. You have plenty of prompts before you do any of this, so don't screw it up. And on a final note about conversion is that you probably noticed that we have both convertible and frozen nodes here, and here is the distinction. Basically, the frozen ones cannot be transferred between 2 different ways, only the convertible ones. And in this case, you only get frozen inner ways either from the path challenges right here in the menu, you, or from purchasing from various vendors. That is basically it. These two sources will always give you, yeah, these frozen inner nodes that cannot be used in conversion at all. Your only way of actually converting them to a different type of node is indirectly by first recycling them, then purchasing the chests with the booklets that you got as a result of that, and that is basically it. Which brings us to point number 5. Do not neglect the all path challenges over here in the path guide. We have a total of 120 inner way nodes chests, and at the very least the first 60 are very easy to grab. That is because after like the 30 or so challenges you have completed, every 10 more quests completed will give you, or complete another set of challenges that will give you extra 20 inner way chests. And some of these challenges here can be very simple. For example, you can easily complete 18 challenge quests in this whole screen for every single one of the path guides by simply unlocking every single inner way in the game, every single martial arts in the game, as well as leveling up every single martial arts to breakthrough level 2, which is really inexpensive. All of these 3 will actually have their own separate challenges that once completed will get you closer to at the very least getting the first 40 or so inner way chests from this. For all the remaining other challenges for every single path guide, I did post a link to a Reddit thread down below. Some of the users were kind enough to actually get these in a proper readable format, so you can see exactly what the requirements are if you want to further progress in those path challenges. Do keep in mind, however, that some of them you won't be able to unlock until you get higher breakthrough levels, as a lot of them are tied to stats and breaking through all the way to level 10 and then 11. And finally, on a similar note, before we move on to other tips, don't forget that the merchant over here in Kaifeng, although he sells again in exchange for Echo Jade a lot of these inner way nodes for other inner ways you don't plan on using, even though they are locked, we can still convert them to the vintage booklets and then convert those into the chests that are appropriate to our build. So in this case, if you're in a pinch and maybe want some extra stuff, but you also have plenty enough Echo Jade, you can spend some of it on purchasing these. About 10 of them cost about anywhere between 800 to 1000 Echo Jade. So at this stage I did buy some of them, converted them, and it was quite worth it in my opinion to get some of my abilities or inner ways broken through to the next stage. But let's keep on going, and at number 6, do not skip out on the Disguise Veil of Love exploration quest. You can start right here in Kaifeng. This is going to give you the disguising mechanic, and it's going to be one of the prerequisites for a lot of the other missions out there, including for unlocking some of the martial arts as well, including the rope dart. So disguising is a way for you to just copy the looks of an NPC, and you will notice that if you do that, you can gain entry to a lot of places you normally cannot enter. And there are other shenanigans you can do in there, which makes this a very fun mechanic to play with. Like, I don't know, instead of stealing from something, just disguising yourself as their lover for some reason and getting the items from them by just asking. So all of the other stuff that will follow after this that you probably found impossible to enter is because you were lacking the disguise mechanic. Another one is that whenever you're completing puzzles, use the Vernal Umbrella. Seriously, this thing will let you literally skip whole sections without having to fear you're gonna be falling on the ground. Say there are many spikes on the ground and the platforms are collapsing beneath you. Well, with this, none of that even matters. On top of that, also don't forget that you can perfectly dodge flamethrowers. And yes, this includes avoiding all of that damage. It's going to definitely help a ton in sections where, yeah, it seems impossible to get the timing right, but this will help you progress to the next stage. Which brings us to the next tip, and I kinda wished I didn't skip on these for so long, but Divine Craft dungeons are very good at rewarding you. You're going to spot them appearing on your HUD via these cave icons. I recommend interacting with the lever and going inside. Typically, it's going to be puzzle solving, but also several chests inside. 5 all the way to 10, all of which will give you all of the nice goodies that you need. And typically, these puzzles are also a lot more fun and interesting to play with than the ones you typically find in the open world. Sometimes they put your mind to the test, but more often than not, they are quite easy to complete. And at the end of it, you're going to have a major chest that gives you not only some of those extra Echo Jades, but you also get some of the medicine books, which you can use to upgrade your medicine flask, and even extra items depending on the type of Divine Craft dungeon you complete. Again, Vernal Umbrella will help you during these a ton. But moving on next, here's another trap for you. It's these 4 skills in the oddities collection of the first map, the ones that have to do with, yeah, the grand evasion breakthrough. So if you invest in these points, you're going to get a wine resource, which you can then invest right here in the mystic skills and specifically your star shift mechanic. Basically, with that wine, you can increase the insight cap. And I kept searching around what the heck is insight cap. Well, insight cap is basically the number of times you can use the assisted deflection in combat. Basically, the 3 bars right here below your posture bar that get active only if assisted deflection is turned on. Well, if assisted deflection was the noob trap, investing more into it can probably be considered the slap in the face afterwards. Like I said before, do not play with assisted deflection. It just makes you weak long term and complacent. Plus, it's a setting that's not even available beyond normal difficulty. So like I said, do not waste resources on any of these. Which brings us to point number 8, or was it 9? Well, it doesn't really matter, because guess what? Your conversations with NPCs don't really matter how accurate they are. Reality is yours to command in conversations with the AI NPCs you want to befriend in Where Winds Meet, to the point that you can literally get max reputation with them in an instant. And that is mostly done by using parentheses, just pointing out an action and maybe mixing in something like your god or the emperor or something, and that's going to pretty much work on most of the NPCs out there, especially ones that require specific types of items or a conflict resolved. Like this poor old chap right here who wanted to win some kind of flower competition. All I had to do was pretend I gave him the most beautiful flower ever, which immediately maxed out their reputation, and from that point on, obviously, I'm going to get gifts from him, which is really nice. So give it a go. It's actually really fun to mess with the LLMs in this case. But moving on next, another interesting collection that can help you if you want some extra like dye packs and whatnot, and also Echo Jade, is this one right here for the food bowls collection in the first region. If you go ahead and talk to this guy, you can likely already give a first batch in, because you have 8 different bowls that you can get as random drops from enemies in the first region. So if you bring them to this guy, you can give them in, and there's like 4 or 5 times you have to bring them in, and every single time you are going to get some cosmetic rewards. However, if you want more of these, you can even trade them. So not only can you trade them with other players, but you can even trade them with the NPC in front of the stall too. Say for example, you're missing bowls from some of the other set, you can just go ahead and give in the ones that you have as extras and progressively go through that challenge. It's not going to completely change the game up, but it's another aspect of it that you may want to be aware of. And since we were on the subject of getting a lot more Echo Jade, don't forget to go into your compendium. By this stage, chances are that you have encountered so many things, items, NPCs, objects, and places that you can go ahead in every single one of these like dozens of categories. So by simply claiming every single one of them that you see marked with a red dot, you're going to get all of these Echo Jades. By this stage, you should have like dozens, if not hundreds of them that you may be missing out on. On top of that, paying attention to your events section, you will notice that some of these may change from week to week. For example, this is only going to last 5 more days to complete this side mission over here, or chain of side missions, the lights in every home. If you press on it right here, you can even go to the leaf menu and see how many you have left. For those of you who didn't have a chance to complete this yet, you can start at the Hopewell Academy. Right next to the waypoint, you're going to notice this house initially burning down. Right now, it's repaired because I progressed in that mission. But if you follow that series of events, you can open up this set of quests here. And a lot of them are very fast to complete, especially besides the first starting 2 on every leaf. All of the other ones take a couple of minutes at most to complete. Usually it's helping somebody with bandit problems, or escorting somebody, or just retrieving some kind of item. It goes really fast and it's totally worth it. It gives you an immersive view of the life of the citizens in Kaifeng, and in my opinion it was worth it. Plus you get some of those cosmetic rewards at the end for completing this for the event section. And last but definitely not least, while not really a tip, if you are wondering why you don't constantly get like the winner screen over here when you're like the super top DPS, especially in the sword trials and other group activities, it's because DPS or amount of healing isn't the only factor over here. How well you dodge or interact with the boss's mechanic also plays a role. So if you constantly run into trouble, or if you let mechanics affect you, which in turn can negatively impact your teammates, that's going to prohibit you from actually reaching the top spot, regardless if you're top DPS or healer or not. And in that case, you may want to pay attention to the mechanics themselves instead, which is going to ensure you get your screen at the end of that run. But that is pretty much it for today. Let me know in the comments if there are any other tips you may want to let others know of, and also in the meantime, if you ended up enjoying this video at any point, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell. It really helps the channel out. But thanks so much for watching, and until next time,